Texas Senator Ted Cruz returned to the campaign trail on Tuesday to rally votes for Georgia Senate Republican nominee Herschel Walker. It is not Cruz's first time stumping for Walker. He has previously attempted to galvanize support for the former football great in his attempt to unseat Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock. Walker and Warnock are facing each other in a December 6th runoff because neither could break 50% in the November election. Recent polls show them still neck and neck. Cruz has spent the midterm stumping for Republicans across the country. He is considered a potential 2024 Republican presidential contender, and in the last week, he confirmed he will run for a third term in the Senate. Polling shows Cruz in low single digits among Republican primary voters.
God bless the great state of Georgia. Let me say, first of all, happy Thanksgiving. We've got a lot to be thankful for. We're thankful that we live in the greatest country on the face of the earth. We're thankful that we're Americans. And we're thankful that Georgia's fixing to elect a new senator. Let me tell you, at a time of Thanksgiving, makes me think of Washington, D.C., because there are a whole lot of turkeys up there. And right now today, the entire country, the eyes of the nation are on the great state of Georgia. Look, we find ourselves once again in a runoff here in Georgia. And the direction of the country is going to be decided by the men and women of Georgia. And let me ask you something. Is this country on the right track today?
No!
You look at what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi have done. Every single thing they touch turns to garbage. You got inflation out of control, cost of everything. Cost of food through the roof, cost of health care, cost of electricity, cost of lumber, cost of rent, cost of mortgages, cost of gasoline. Look, it's so bad, Antifa can't afford bricks. It is so bad, Eric Swalwell can't afford Chinese dinners. In fact, I got to tell you, inflation is so bad right now, Hunter Biden can't afford crack cocaine. And then you got crime. Crime out of control, murder rates skyrocketing, carjacking rates skyrocketing. It's what happens when you have Democrat after Democrat attack and demonize the police and argue for abolishing the police and defunding the police and putting in place George Soros prosecutors that let violent criminals go. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, the men and women of Georgia support the heroes of law enforcement. And then we've got illegal immigration. The worst illegal immigration in the history of our country. Under Joe Biden, 5 million people have crossed into this country illegally. It is horrific. Now listen, I've been down to the border many times, gone out on midnight patrol with Border Patrol agents. One time I was there a few years ago, they came to a stash house, kicked open the door. There's some big, sketchy guys in that stash house, tatted up. And the Border Patrol agents, they're all calling over to me. They're going, Senator, Senator, come over here. I'm going, just call me Bob. Last time I was there was a few months ago. I brought 7 senators down to go out on midnight patrol. You don't have to look for people crossing illegally. Within minutes, they find you. Women, children, When we were there with a bunch of senators, we saw a dead body floating in the Rio Grande River. And you know what? Joe Biden and Raphael Warnock and the corrupt corporate media, none of them care at all. Until 50 illegal immigrants showed up in Martha's Vineyard. And suddenly the white bread, hypocritical, lily-livered billionaire socialists discovered they had a problem. Now, the press will tell you all these problems, they got nothing to do with all these Democrats running Washington. That's called a lie. Because I'll tell you, every one of those problems Raphael Warnock voted to make worse. When you look at inflation, the Democrats came in and they spent trillions and trillions of dollars. This past year, federal government raised about $4 trillion in tax revenue, the most taxes federal government has ever raised in history. Only problem is, federal government spent nearly $7 trillion. You know what Raphael Warnock voted for? Every single penny of that. You know what else Raphael Warnock voted for? 87,000 new IRS agents to descend on the people of Georgia, to persecute the people of Georgia. We need to stand up and say not 1 cent will go to those 87,000 IRS agents. And you ask me personally, I think we ought to abolish the IRS. Move to a simple flat tax and fill out your taxes on a postcard. When it comes to crime, President Biden has nominated not 1, not 2, but 3 of the leading advocates in the country of abolishing the police to senior positions in the Department of Justice. And Raphael Warnock voted to confirm not 1, not 2, but 3. On the southern border, Raphael Warnock has voted over and over and over again against building a wall, against securing our border, against stopping Chinese fentanyl from flowing into this country and killing people here in Georgia. Y'all are fixing to do it. Let me tell you something. There is no state in the country with a greater divide between the values of the men and women of the state and the senator that represents them. Georgia is a conservative state. Georgia is a common sense state. Georgia is a freedom state. Georgia is a red state. And Raphael Warnock, every single time, votes against the people of Georgia and votes with Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi to give up your liberties. Now, media is trying to convince Republicans that it doesn't matter what happens here in Georgia. Let me tell you, this race matters enormously. This race matters for a whole lot of reasons. I wish we were sitting here fixing to take the majority. We're not. I'm ticked off about that. The time to fix that is in 2 years. Right now, we're going to decide whether the Senate stays 50-50 or whether the Democrats get 51 Democrats. Let me tell you what happens if they get 51 Democrats. Number one, they get a majority on every single committee. That means they can accelerate, they can expedite their agenda, including radical left-wing judges, to take away our free speech, our religious liberty, and our Second Amendment. But I'll tell you what else it means. Chuck Schumer and the Democrats want to end the filibuster. They tried over the last 2 years. They came 2 votes short. 2 Democrats said no. Joe Manchin from West Virginia, Kyrsten Sinema from Arizona. If Warnock wins this race, Schumer is one vote away from ending the filibuster. And I believe if that happens, that Schumer will lean on Manchin and Manchin will fold. And let me tell you something, what that means for Georgia. Here's what the Democrats want to do if they end the filibuster. They want to strike down every election integrity law in the country. They want to register millions of illegal aliens to vote. They want to strike down photo ID. They want to mandate that all criminals can vote. You can actually understand the latter because, after all, they got to take care of their base. They also want to make the District of Columbia a new state so they get 2 new Democrat senators. They also want to make citizens over 10 million illegal aliens to vote for Democrats. And they want to pack the U.S. Supreme Court and put 4 left-wing justices on the court immediately. That's what Georgia's deciding. And so I'm here to tell you, y'all have an opportunity to make a choice. Make a choice not just for Georgia, but for the whole country. There are 49 other states that are looking to Georgia right now. And let me tell you, you guys have a fantastic candidate for United States Senate. I've been to Georgia multiple times supporting Herschel Walker. Herschel is beloved in the state of Georgia. And I gotta say, have y'all noticed this race has gotten a little nasty? I want you to think for a second. Why is Herschel doing this? I mean, talk about a life. Look, Herschel is incredibly successful. He's the greatest college football player to ever play. He's famous and beloved, and he's real famous, not fake famous, Lindsey, like politics. He's real famous. And suddenly, he's got these communists spending millions of dollars lying about him, dragging him and his family through the mud. It is ugly. I want you to ask you, how many of you would want your family to go through this garbage? And there's one and only one reason Herschel Walker is doing this, because he loves America. And because our country is in crisis and we need leaders with backbone and guts. The runoff is on December 6th. Between now and December 6th, every one of y'all needs to go to teamherschel.com, 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 and give money. But then here in Georgia, I am looking at the men and women that are going to decide the future of liberty in America. On December 6th, I want to ask every one of you to come out and vote for Herschel Walker 10 times. All right, now look, we're not Democrats. I am not urging voter fraud, although I saw 2 reporters pull out their notepads say, oh, look, urging multiple felonies from the stage. Let me tell you how you do that. You make sure you come out and vote on December 6th. And then, tonight, when you leave, pull out your phone. Pull up your contacts. Scroll through and find 9 other people. And send them a text tonight. Send a text to your sister. Send a text to your coworker or your next door neighbor. Send a text to your son. Say, listen, this election matters. I'm scared for the direction of our country. I don't like the direction that Biden and Schumer and Pelosi are taking this country. And you can say, I know Herschel Walker. Don't believe the lies. And let me tell you right now, if you get 9 other people to vote on Election Day who wouldn't have voted otherwise, you just voted 10 times. This election is all about turnout. It's all about showing up to vote. and it is y'all who are going to decide. Let me say one final thing. You notice who hadn't come to the state of Georgia to campaign with Raphael Warnock?
Brandon.
Joe Biden.
Brandon.
I'm going to make an invitation. We got TV cameras in the back. Joe Biden, I invite you, come to Georgia, stand next to Raphael Warnock, and say, this man supports every policy I support. I'm going to make another invitation. Kamala Harris, come to Georgia, campaign with Raphael Warnock. Let me make another invitation. Chuck Schumer, come to Georgia, campaign with Raphael Warnock. And one last invitation. Nancy Pelosi. You suddenly got a whole lot of free time on your hands. Come to Georgia, campaign with Raphael Warnock. And you know why they're not going to? Because their values don't reflect the values of the men and women of Georgia, and neither does Warnock, but Herschel Walker does, and he'll fight for you. I now have the joy of introducing a friend of mine, Senator from the great state of South Carolina. A man who's very shy. He never has anything to say. And just once it'd be nice if he could tell a joke. He's so dang boring. But I'm going to ask y'all to help us coax him out of his shell. See if we can get a smile out of him. I give you my friend, Senator Lindsey Graham.